Hello, everybody. Welcome to Chameleon Chore Night, where we do the exciting thing of, well, just do chameleon chores. Really, this is just the place for us to hang out on a Sunday night to say goodbye to the week and get ready for next week coming up. And if you're watching the replay of this, just know that this happens live every Sunday at 5 p.m. Pacific, and you can join and just be part of the show. My official shows are Tuesday at 5 p.m. for the open question and answer session, Saturdays at 12 noon on YouTube for the Saturday Chameleon Workshop, and Sunday night is just us decompressing in the chameleon community. So what's everybody doing? And I'm sorry, I am finishing up a little bit of something. So I'll just do a little bit of chewing and then I'll be done. That'll be professional. That was timely. It's been a week. Hello, everybody. Oh, my goodness. Let's see. Alicia's got 3 12-hour work days in the bag. Chores tomorrow, this evening. Relaxation. Good. Has Bill been getting to bed on time? Bill actually did pretty good. I did it in 2 parts. For everybody wondering, yes, James 3 is keeping track of my sleep because that is what I need. I need accountability, and we're a community, so we kind of take care of each other. And that's something I need care of. Hello, Annabelle. Mikey Ben says, y'all watch yesterday's bioactive video. Big respect how Bill acknowledges those who step up the husbandry. Yeah, guys, that yesterday was quite the experiment for me. I did a full-on seminar on bioactive for chameleons. I prepared for that thing, and I just evaluating how that kind of thing can fit into my outreach. That kind of thing may end up being part of the virtual campus because that was a lot of work, and I want to definitely reward the people who support me, and maybe that level of work is for them. Dean, hello. Wonderful. Oh, and we got Misty Mountain fan. See if that's here. That is great. So James says the bioactive seminar is really good. Thank you. I'm glad to hear that. So Alicia says, I don't know if I could ever survive bioactive. It is something to consider. It's not just something you make and you leave. And I think that's one of the biggest education points with people starting bioactive. It's a whole nother hobby. It's a whole nother universe. And it's a lot of fun, but it isn't something that people think, hey, if I go bioactive, I don't have to clean my cage. Oof. Yeah, that's a very high level, but overly simplistic, and you get a surprise when reality comes a knocking. So what's the key to knowing your bioactive is working? James says. Well, I would say one of the keys is that you don't smell anything bad, and your cleanup crew, your isopods, and your springtails are flourishing, and really the sign that a bioactive enclosure is working is you don't notice any signs. It looks great, it smells great, and it just goes trucking. That's it. When it's bad, you'll get infestation of fungus gnats. You'll get a bad smell, and then something's gone off. Fusi Nidile is saying, hi, I live in Canada and gather more knowledge about chameleon care. So I have a few questions about chameleons, such as cold weather and sound, and how will those affect them? Go ahead and do some. I can talk about cold weather at a high level, but if you have specific questions, just write down the specific questions. But for people who are in cold weather, You don't keep your chameleons outside, so they're inside. So they have benefit of central air. If you have heat, if you don't have heat, it's, a chameleon may not be the best thing to get into. But usually when you have a chameleon in your living space, the consequence of it being in a cold environment is actually not the temperature, it's the humidity, because you turn on the heat and you have that air conditioning. Even though it's heat, it's still conditioning the air, and it keeps on going and it keeps taking moisture out, and you have a very low humidity in the area. And so you have to use a hybrid cage, a glass cage. You have to have some way of retaining that humidity, because even though chameleons will survive without a good humidity environment, it's not the best life for them. So we want to give them the humidity. So that's the biggest consideration. Now, if you have specific questions that didn't answer, go ahead and put them in there. We'll talk about them. See, Alicia says, I was paying attention, Bill. You said not to transfer the bugs. I was watching a blue-tongued skink video, and there's a lot of transferring from enclosure to enclosure. That couldn't have been good. Okay. It's not that it's bad. If we here, my face is being covered by the comment. The thing is, it's not that it's good or bad. It's risky. Yikes! Ouch! If you have pathogens or parasites in one cage, you don't want to send them to another cage, and everything that you've got in one cage will now go to the other cage. And so under the idea that we always want to quarantine our reptiles and keep them separate so we contain any possible outbreaks, we don't want to transfer bugs. But that's just a precautionary thing. If you have a cage where you're confident everything is great in that cage, then yeah, you can transfer bugs. The transfer itself is not the problem. It's being sure that there is nothing that you don't want to transfer coming along with it. So it's it's easier for me if I'm going to be giving general advice. I'm going to say don't transfer bugs. That's the safest thing to do. And then if you do it, you know the risk, or you are willing to take the risk. If you do this, you're willing to take the risk to bring things from one cage to the other. Like the bioactive cage that I put together on Saturday's episode and showed everybody, and I put in Spearmint, who is a wild caught shamrock chameleon. I did all sorts of tests on him, and it appears that he is clean. Now, I accept the risk that perhaps there's something I missed, even after a year and a half of quarantine, all sorts of fecal checks, medication, etc. I'm thinking, okay, I've done enough that it's safe to put him into a bioactive enclosure. Now, I believe that I've done enough that anything that is there probably isn't going to cause problems in his health. But I don't feel comfortable taking anything from that cage and putting it into another cage from like a captive hatched individual. There, the risk has gone beyond what I am willing to take. So that explains why I say don't transfer things between cages, and other people may have no problem doing it. So, Reptil Z, we love you from Qatar. It's Qatar? Is that her? Well, wonderful. Thank you very much. It's good to have you. It's good to have people from the other side of the world. All right. Let's go. Let's figure out. James says, I've never been able to see springtails. Bought them several times. Seems like the cup is empty. I'm assuming they are really tiny. You should be able to see them though. It's like these little white things all over the place. Mick Lowe is asking, can carpet panther chameleons eat wasps? One flew into my outdoor cage, and if not, I'll take it out. Yeah, they can eat them. It makes me nervous, especially the mud daubers. I don't like that because they can swivel around. But chameleons have no problem. They don't understand why it makes me nervous, and they'll do it anyways. So yeah, it's a problem for us humans. It's not a problem for chameleons. They take down bees and wasps, no problem. Fusi Nidal, I was thinking of getting one from Madagascar. How to get legally from the Minister of Environment. Oh, well, just go to an importer. There are importers in Canada that they have got everything set up. They've got the paperwork set up. They've got the contacts with the exporters. So just find an importer of chameleons and then latch onto one of their shipments. It's very expensive to do a shipment. And this is why you have an importer that brings in a large box of chameleons, because doing it for one is just prohibitively expensive. James says, Bill got the fecal test back from Darby. He's 100% clean too. I am glad to hear that. Darby is the shamrock chameleon that James has. And I deparasitized Darby. So it's good to hear. I always love hearing the confirmation. Alicia says, I need advice. Well, this is the place to come. We'll give advice. We'll give advice no matter what you ask. And the difference here, we will tell you how confident we are in the answer. I will give you advice on anything, even if it's something that I have zero confidence in. But I'll tell you, I'm totally making this up. Let's see. I have seen some don't change out plant dirt. I did Cassius. His plants drop easily. The tree is leaning. How safe is not changing dirt out? It's the same as, are you talking about dirt coming from Home Depot? And if I get a plant from Home Depot, I'll put it straight into a chameleon cage. I don't have any problem with that. The only time I will start thinking about changing soil out is when I want to do a bioactive, and all of those additions and fertilizers and stuff that they put into the plant, some of those things, like if they say combats any sort of life, if it says it combats X and it's any sort of life, then there's some sort of poison in there. Now, it's not something to be worried about for you or your cat or whatever, but it's meant to kill pests. And so when we're making a bioactive environment, we don't want that stuff that makes life hard for pests because, poor springtails. So, it depends on where you're putting it. If you're just putting it into Cash's cage, I wouldn't worry about it. If you're trying to create colonies of invertebrates, well, then you got to be a little bit more. You got to pay attention a little bit more. Any thoughts on nematodes in potted plants for fungus gnat larvae? I haven't tried it. I don't know how it would work. It seems like it would be if there is some fungus, some nematodes that attack fungus gnats larvae. I don't see why that would be an issue, but I don't know the nature of those nematodes. For anybody wondering, nematodes are worms in the soil, and you're thinking nematodes like pinworms. All right, a very small percentage of nematodes are parasitic. So yes, generally when you're in the chameleon world and you hear the word nematode, that's not a good thing. But there are I think there's more nematodes in the world by pound than any other organism. Someone made the estimation that if you got rid of the entire earth, but you left all of the nematodes where they were, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference because we just have so many nematodes out there. Nematodes are just worms. And those of you with microscopes, you'll notice this when you take a poop off of the bottom of your cage. Okay, I can see if there's pinworm eggs or something like that. You take poop off of, say it falls into your potted plant, and then you put that under the microscope. Oh my goodness, it's a party in there. Why? Because all of the little nematodes in the soil said, hey, protein, we want to go, carbohydrates, all that stuff that we love to eat. The poop is a smorgasbord. So you end up taking up a lot of the non-parasitic nematodes from the soil. And so that's one thing you got to be careful, is that if you put a poop under the microscope and you see a whole lot of nematodes crawling around and stuff, they may not be parasitic. Now, luckily, and you see some really cool stuff. Paramecium, you start saying, oh, wait a minute, there is so much more in the microscopic world. It is an entire new universe. And when you see a paramecium go across your microscope slide, it's like suddenly you're thinking, I need to know more about the microscopic world. You see this, it just like undulates and glides across a slide, and you fall in love. And you could just spend your entire life looking at things under the microscope. That's just the way it happens. Nature is wonderful. Reptile Z says, the most difficult reptile I have kept is the chameleon. It is very sensitive, but they are beautiful. Yeah, they are sensitive. Somehow we need to reconcile how hardy they are in the wild to how sensitive they seem in captivity. And I think that's a not so great reflection as to our husbandry. So anyway, I found pet safe nematodes for soil. I'll try it out and let you know. Yeah, definitely let me know. These kind of things where I say I don't know, I want feedback if you try it. Because I said on Saturday, this whole chameleon thing, it just opens so many doors for us to learn about the natural world, and it is so much fun. There's no way we can know it all. So, I like to say I'm pretty on top of the latest in chameleon husbandry, but I got so much to learn about plants, parasites, soil nematodes, bioactive invertebrates, soil health. I mean, there's a lifetime of things for us to learn here. So we're not going to be bored anytime soon. Alicia says, so if I don't change dirt and said plant drips out the bottom from too much spray, I won't need to worry about anything. You all have me feeling better about not transferring dirt in the future. Well, Alicia, the question is, are you just having your plants in the cage? Like on Saturday, I talked about a baseline where you have a lot of live plants and the bottom is a bare plastic floor. I got to be careful. I used to say clear plastic floor, but clear has two meanings. So a bare plastic floor. So if you're doing that baseline keeping, then yeah, it doesn't matter. Anything dripping out, it doesn't matter. If you're trying to do a bioactive system and that what's in that pot is going to drip out into your bioactive substrate, well, then it does matter. You got to make sure that what drips out isn't going to hurt. Now, it's not always easy to determine that because, what's in the soil? Most people don't know enough. Even if the soil manufacturer gave us exactly what it is, most people don't know enough to know what to do with the answer. So they don't bother. So we just have to figure it out. Now, will putting Home Depot plants directly into a bioactive kill all of the fauna? I don't know. Maybe not. The thing is, we don't know. I'm not going to say that just putting a Home Depot plant in the top of the cage, watering it, will all of a sudden decimate your entire bioactive soil. It may not. The thing is, I don't know. And they keep putting strange stuff into the soils to make the plants grow, all the good things. It's not like they're putting asbestos or whatever, but they make things that make the plant grow. And that may or may not have a detrimental effect on your invertebrates and stuff, microflora, microfauna. So it's one of those things where you don't know. And as soon as you know, they change. There's nothing that is regulating what the different nurseries put inside of their dirt. So even if you really researched it, it'd be different when they got plants from the next nursery. And this is the problem that we had with pesticides. When neonicotinoids these are a systemic pesticide came in, we didn't know that we were dealing with neonicotinoids. But we spent, I don't know how many, 2 decades inadvertently testing it in our chameleon cages. And we found, even though that the veiled chameleons chewed up all the pothos and schefflera and that kind of stuff and got all these neonicotinoids in them, we didn't see any detrimental effect. So we kind of tested it out. But then there was this big brouhaha about neonicotinoids, and so they banned them. And the problem is, what did they replace them with? Well, we don't know. We just know they're not using neonicotinoids. Are they using another systemic that is similar? I don't know. So it's like we're almost like to ground zero and starting over again. So yeah, and that's a problem when we in the reptile specialty communities want to use something that's meant for general purpose. They're not regulated for our purposes. They're regulated for human safety. So, all right. Whew. Any other questions? Please put them in. And by the way, if anybody here, this is the way these things work. If anybody here throws out, if you think that the conversation is getting a little thin, or you just feel like exerting your influence on the world, if you throw down a page number between 1 and 192, I will read from Tiny Dragons. This is the book that I published about caring for chameleon hatchlings. I will read from that page, and we will talk about the concept that is presented on that page. So it's a way that you can say, all right, let's roll the die and let's figure out what kind of chameleon concept comes to us. And Flick is rising to the occasion and giving me 56. So let's go ahead and choose page 56. And by the way, everybody, this book is now going to be going on Amazon. I did it my individual publisher to begin with because, you know what, Amazon takes a whole lot of money. So okay, I'll do that after all of my people purchase it. Okay, page 56. So this is what the inside of the book looks like. Everybody, that's Squishy. And that is a baby panther chameleon from Madagascar. I came across a clutch that was in the process of hatching, and that guy is hatching. So, oh, Mikey Ben is asking, anybody quarantine plants before putting them in an enclosure? Swap out the soil for bioactives, but the pots are kept for natural. I know how to do the quarantine. I've told people how to do the quarantine, but I've just switched out soil. That's as far as I've gotten. Okay, on page 56, We are talking about the forest edge. The forest here. You can read along with me if it's not mirrored. The forest edge is a biological term referring to the border where on one side you are in the sun and the other side you are in the forest. We use it in chameleon herpetoculture to refer to having two distinct zones, an open and a shaded zone. The open zone is for basking in the light to warm up, absorb UVB, and survey the territory. The shaded zone is for retreating to in the heat of the day, being protected from UVB and feeling safe from predators. All right. That is the foundational concept. Wow, Flick, that was a good, you got a meeting. You chose a meaty page. Yeah, so the forest edge is a foundational concept in chameleon husbandry, herpetoculture. At least it's a core concept that I have used in the Chameleon Academy over this decade of trying to make setting up a good chameleon cage easy. And that's the simple forest edge, giving one area, like the top 9 inches of the cage, completely open. That's where all the light is, the heat is, and then the area under that is dense foliage. So that gives the chameleon the ability to choose between the two. Many of our chameleons love to be on the forest edge. There are some, like Cristatus, that are deep forest, and they're not as concerned about having a forest edge. But panther chameleons, veiled chameleons, Jackson's chameleons, these are on like the edges of trees, and they go out, they bask, and then they go back in the trees to feel hidden and get away from the UVB and stuff. So that's that transition area, and we call it the forest edge. In biological terms, that's where the trees stop and the meadow begins. So it's kind of a nice poetic way to describe it. Thank you, Flick. That was an excellent choice. So let's see. Oh, does anybody think I should actually do my chameleon chores? I am wow. It's been quite a day. That seminar that we did yesterday, that was a marathon to really get that all together. That was a lot of fun, but a lot of work. And I think it burned me out. And I have tried to get something done today, and it has not worked. Oh, Misty Mountain Fan says no. What did I do? What's the context of that? I actually heard you say no. What was that all about? Mikey, I don't need anything, Bill. What's the context of that? What did I say? What did I say? Guys, sometimes I say things that I don't even realize what I've said. So, no chores. Says I shouldn't do anything. Oh, yeah, it's nice having Yvette around. She takes care of me. She sometimes just sits me down and says, Bill, enough. Just breathe. Mikey Ben says, been thinking about, no chores, no feeder. Oh boy. Been thinking about 3D printing some feeder plates for the cleanup crew for bioactives. And am I off my rocker? No, Ben, could do it. Do it. Yeah. So what Mikey's talking about is if we have this cleanup crew, they're supposed to be eating all the decayed leaves and bark and poop and stuff, right? So they should have a lot to eat. Well, the leaves actually have to decay. And so if you've just put the leaves in, well, there's nothing for them to eat. So it's a good idea to supplement their diet. If you've got a good bioactive soil, that soil is filled with things that are going to be decomposing. And so if you've gotten, like you go to BioDude and you get one of, I use a terra firma, I mean, that's filled with all sorts of stuff that's breaking down for your cleanup crew. But you got to make sure that things it takes a while for things to break down. So it's a good idea to occasionally, regular basis, once a week, put in some supplementation, some supplemental something for them to eat. Like just yesterday, I sprinkled in a couple of dried shrimp under the leaves, and that's a source of protein, calcium protein for them. Yvette's probably talking about doesn't need any trays, any of these things. Okay, I understand. My poor bag of feeder fuel is back there going, what? You brought me out and you're not going to use me? It's okay. There's always next week. No, I filled everybody's cup up with feeder fuel yesterday, so that's one reason why I don't have the sense of urgency to make all the feeder dish trays now. Oh, Tony C says, is the mushroom cup on duty today? All right. I don't know where the mushroom cup is. I don't know if Yvette has scurried it, hidden it somewhere. She could very well have it in the Fant room, the gecko room, and I would never know. So I don't think she's actually actively trying to keep me from the mushroom cup, which, by the way, everybody, the mushroom cup is hers. So, but, it's nice to just kind of look around and see if I can find it. It's not in the bathroom where it usually is. So I don't know. People are wondering, what the heck is he talking about? Guys, I had this very cool mushroom cup, and everybody liked the mushroom cup, and I like the mushroom cup, but it was actually my wife's mushroom cup. And so every now and then she takes it back. I don't think she knows that I'm spiriting away with it. So she wonders, where'd my cup go? I don't think she even knows that it's a special cup. Well, we've raised it to the status of legend. This legendary mushroom cup. It's a treasure to be fought over. I don't think she knows that. I don't think she knows that at all. But I don't know where the mushroom cup is.
I don't know where it is.
What? Oh, she's been listening. Oh, she doesn't know where it is. So I don't think she pays attention to it like I do. So I think I don't even know if she knows if there's mushrooms on it. Who knows? We have kind of blown this way out of proportion, I think. So, but that's what makes life fun. Marsha Ann's 3-week crickets were fine. All pinheads all died. There is talking about in the heat. Yes. Hey, James just got black crickets. Oh, yes. We in California are able to get black crickets, and those are big and juicy. Unfortunately, they can't go out of California. I am sorry to say that. Flick says, I put some Arcadia custodian fuel here and there. Yes, so you can get pre-made mixes. Custodian fuel, Repashy has the morning wood. So I've used the morning wood. And everybody, I am sorry, but that is what Repashy called it. So don't blame me. And YouTube, don't demonetize me, even though I'm not monetized yet on this channel. Yeah. All right, Janet. Sorry, I am late. Okay, she's apologized. We accept your apology. Moved all my bugs downstairs, put some shelves together, cleaned enclosures all day. I'm done. Okay, so you've been doing chores all day. Yeah. James 3 says, every time I hear a mushroom cup, it makes me want to play Mario Kart on. Yeah, that's actually what I had in mind. Oh, my kids played Mario Kart all over. And I hated Rainbow Bridge. Anybody know what Rainbow Bridge is? Oof, that was really tough. All right, everybody. Somebody want to throw out a number? I've run out of energy. I don't feel like doing chores. I don't feel this is the time that I would go over there and I would start cutting up like carrots and stuff. I just don't have the energy to do that. I don't have the energy to cut up carrots or pour the feeder fuel. I'm just a burnt husk of a chameleon dude. All right. Oh, Mikey Ben is giving me 67. Ooh, 67. Ooh, that sounds interesting. Mikey Ben, you picked the UVB page. Wow. So this is a step-by-step guide as to how to set up the UVB. And really what's important with UVB that I try to communicate here is that the actual number, you need to know a number so you can target it. But when learning the skill, the number doesn't matter. And the number will change. Right now, for Panthers and Veils, UV index of 3 is the standard. Why? Because we did some testing, just a little bit of testing, and we said, yeah, UVB3 really does the job. We know that it does the job. We've proved it. And so we made that the standard. That doesn't mean it's the end all be all. It doesn't mean that UV index 2 doesn't work. It just means we didn't test it. UV index of 3 seemed to be a good one to go with. We tested it. It works. The only thing that we did test and is that you don't have to go above that. That's the only real conclusion. And so the important thing is knowing how to set up the cage. Now, the thing with the reason why this is extra important for a hatchling is because hatchlings will climb on the top of the cage. And so you not only have to worry about what the UV index is at the basking, you have to worry about what the UV index is at the top of the cage. And this is where it gets to be a real pain in the butt when you're dealing with hatchlings, because hatchlings have a habit of flipping upside down and crawling under the UVB lamp. And if you've tested the UVB lamps, at what their intensity is at the top of the cage, if you have UV lamp on the cage, you're looking, some of these lamps you can get to UV index levels that are beyond what naturally occurs on the surface of the earth. These UVB lights, they are designed to punch through the air to get to a bearded dragon down at the bottom of the cage. They're not designed to give a gentle UV index to a chameleon that's flipping their belly up directly at where the bulb is. So we have to account for our special situation. And so when we set up the light, we set it up far enough, we raise it above the surface, so whatever UV index is at the top of the cage, that is safe for our chameleon to flip their belly over. Now, they stop doing this. At a certain point, they will stop climbing on the top of the cage, especially if you have branches near the top, like within an inch or two of the top of the cage. Then they just don't have a need. There's no advantage to being up on the top. So they will soon stop that. And once they stop that, you can stop being as concerned about the actual UVB in level at the top of the cage. In fact, in adults, I say just make it to be UV index of 6. That's a good. We've tested UV index of 6. We've shown that there's no, at least for Veils and Panthers, there's no benefit to going above UV index of 3. And UV index of 6 still seems to be in the safe range. So UV index of 3 is great for basking, and UV index of 6 is great for your maximum level on top of the cage. And that is what page 67 in conjunction with 68 is all about. Oh, okay. We got 2 more pages here. But Tony is saying, is a decent UVB meter expensive? $250. That's about standard. Just assume it's $250, but it's one of those things we got to do it. Page 37. Okay. All right. Seems like as good of a page as any, yes. All right. Page 37 is all about cage size. With chameleons, you hear the phrase, bigger is better. This is one of the few times where a simple soundbite is actually accurate. With hatchlings, though, there are a number of valid things to consider when selecting the proper cage size for your situation. Each approach has its own advantages and skills required to make it work. And in this section, I review a number of options. And this is true because for the longest time in the community, and still, people say, oh, it's a hatchling, it has to be in a smaller cage. Well, it doesn't have to be. It can be in its adult-sized cage, and you just have to be smart about setting up the cage. In fact, if you have your hatchling in an adult-sized cage, it's a lot easier to provide them the gradients and microclimates that they need. There's a huge advantage. Now, you got to keep track of them. You got to make sure that they have access to food. They know where the food is if they can see everything that's going on in that cage. And the question is, do they feel safe going to get the food? So you got to consider that. But me, I like to use adult-sized cages. Steve Hefner used adult-sized cage for his brevicorn. I mean, it's not that hard to do. Tony's asking for page 71. Okay. Tony wants page 71. Well, Tony, do you love Squishy? Because page 71 is one of my photos of Squishy. Squishy is an Umbanja panther chameleon, and that's one of his baby photos. So cute. So yes, this book has a lot of pictures in it. It's a lot of fun. If anybody's interested in buying this book, go to my website, chameleonacademy.com, and you can just hit the link there at the front, and it's going to tell you where to go. And I now have the link to the publisher, so it doesn't matter where you are in the world. They will publish the book in the closest area to you, and they will ship it to you for a lot better rate than I could ever get if I had them shipped to me. Let's see, I was going to harvest some wild mushrooms at the mother-in-law's house for my eye supplies, but I got lazy. Wait a beaties. All right. Mikey Ben says 67 is my curse. The last year my hockey team won the cup. At least UVB lights made it my way. Oh, wow. 67. Yikes. Janet's talking about UVB meters. Purchased mine from Amazon. They're about $250. It's a life changer. Yep. Best $250 I ever spent. Guys, it's one of those things where we say a UVB meter should be required for all of us chameleon keepers. Hate to say that because they're freaking expensive, but unfortunately nobody has come up with a cheaper UVB meter, and so we just got to take our lumps when they come. And yeah, we got $250, but you know what? For what it does, it ensures that our chameleons are getting healthy UVB, and that is critical to their life. So yeah, it's $250. It's on my list. My number one, I have my list of, once you get your chameleon set up, what are the things that are most effective in leveling up your husbandry? First is a UVB meter, Solometer 6.5. Not the cards, not all the cheap stuff off of Amazon, but a 6.5. Second is a microscope, and learn how to do your own fecals. Listen, lizards, hey! Whoops. Listen, Lizard says, finally got my first solometer this year. About time. Yes. Yeah. And I don't, yeah, I, you know what? I don't know how important it is for other reptiles. I just know for us chameleon people, it's, it's almost, I would love to put it on the required equipment list. Yeah. Angela says, Bill, I've seen on video veils eating lizards. Do I need to feed them? Can I feed other lizards? Okay. Okay. So chameleons eating lizards. There is a huge advantage to chameleons eating vertebrates. And that is because vertebrates store preformed vitamin A in their organs. And we're not exactly sure how an insectivore gets preformed vitamin A. Are there insects, diurnal insects? We do a lot of nocturnal insects, get on that. But are there insects that contain vitamin A? Are there insects that grab carotenoids, which are precursors that chameleons use? Dr. Gary Ferguson threw us all for a loop back in the 90s or whatever. He did some experiment, and it seemed, according to his experiment, that chameleons didn't convert beta carotene, which is what other animals use to convert into vitamin A. Now, the chameleon community has taken that as gospel truth. Not only took it as gospel truth, people started saying, don't put it in the supplements, that kind of stuff. I would like to see a little bit more experimentation. We have to realize that one experiment is not the end all of information. For one thing, he was giving a whole lot of beta carotene as an isolate, just beta carotene. The world uses everything together and everything interacts with each other. Vitamin A, vitamin D3, they're called, what are they called? They compete or something in some way that we don't understand. So everything is meant to work together. And when we go into a scientific experiment and we isolate these things, it's a powerful tool for us to find out if one thing, just changing one thing, changes the outcome. But we've got to be careful when we test things in isolation. We are taking it outside of how it is meant to be used. So is there something else that works with beta carotene that makes it turn into vitamin A? Are there other carotenoids that chameleons use to convert to vitamin A? We don't know. That's why I'm over here. I'm trying to convince all you younger people to go into the sciences, go get your PhD in chameleonology, go work for Dr. Chris Anderson and figure these things out, because we need to know. And since I'm spending all my time writing books and making courses and stuff like that, I don't have time to figure out how chameleons get vitamin A. So I need someone out there to get your degree and go study at the Chameleon Lab, Dr. Chris Anderson in South Dakota, real chameleon scientist. And you figure this out, because we need to know the answer to this thing. So, you know what? It takes a village. We're all working on this together. Okay. Okay. I'm doing my part. You do your part. Go get a PhD. That's your part. Let's see. Lee Reddy says, made it close to the end. Amanda was trading Pokemon cards. I'm sure there's a story behind that. we have lots of stories in this community, and I don't understand all of them, but I know that they're awesome. That's what I got to say. Oh, okay. Tony C says, wow, UVB is a little pricey, but if you have multiple lights, it's worth it to invest in it. Tony, I wish it weren't as important as it is, because, I mean, this is the funny story. I was once doing a video on how to, why it's important to have a UVB meter. And I was talking about how sometimes these lights that we have, sometimes they go forever. Like they say, it's 12-month lifespan. Well, sometimes they go for 2 years and they'll give you good UVB out. Sometimes they don't work right out of the box. And I was literally saying on camera, all right, so we take this and we're going to measure this UVB to make sure that there's still UVB. And there was no UVB. I literally had a light that wasn't giving UVB, and it was relatively new. So like that was a perfect example of what happens. And so you can monitor your UVB levels throughout the life of the light, and you don't have to throw that light away until it no longer gives you UVB. And I can tell you it goes longer than 12 months. And so if you're just doing it every 12 months, well, eventually, not to, and depending on how many chameleons you have, the UVB meter will pay for itself over and over by keeping you from replacing lights that are still working just fine. So it is worth it. Oh. Shrooms will see you there next time. Page 42. All right, folks. Wayne Abides has invoked page 42 of Tiny Dragons, the book. We are going to see what is on page 42 in this tomb of knowledge. We're talking about the adult-sized cage. This is the tricky thing. Can you keep a hatchling in an adult-sized cage? The answer is yes, but as with everything that we do, you got to be careful. You got to do it right. It's kind of like, can you keep a chameleon in a glass cage? Absolutely. Sometimes it's the best way to do it. Just don't use screen cage husbandry or you'll kill it. Doesn't mean glass cages are bad. It means you just got to use the right husbandry. So anyway, I will read the beginning. It says, if you are planning on keeping your chameleon up to its adult size, then you have the option of using the adult-sized cage from day one. And well, just for that sentence, we can talk about something. You notice most of what you see is raising babies in these very small cages. The reason why you see that is because traditionally, up until just recently, the people who have all the knowledge about how to raise baby chameleons are the breeders. And they're raising 30 to 60 babies. They can't have adult-sized cages for 60 babies. They need to have efficient caging, and that's fine. It's fine for a baby to be in a small nursery cage, as long as you're going to be selling them at 3 months, which most breeders do. And okay, so whatever's left then can be moved up to another cage. So that's in our psyche. That's in the chameleon community's psyche, is small cages for small babies. And what happens with these things, these little sound bites, is it morphs from you can keep a baby chameleon in a small cage, a nursery cage, and that morphs to you have to keep a baby in a nursery cage. And that you have all sorts of people then, they have this large cage and now they're putting in false floors so the baby doesn't fall. Chameleon babies don't fall. That's not what they do. So I am being vocal about using adult-sized cages for babies, not because everybody has to, but I want you to know that that is an option for you. So don't discount that. We have people who have purchased eggs. As much as I say, don't purchase an egg, get a well-started juvenile from a reputable breeder. That is the way to start in chameleons. A lot of people, they get an egg because they're at the show and they're told this is the easy way to do it. And then they come to the community and start doing their research. We got to be careful that all of us saying, don't get eggs, we don't take that out on the people who have discovered us because they've gotten eggs. So it's like I have to say that every time. I want to say me supporting the people who have purchased the eggs and give them everything they need to be successful is not me saying that you should go out and go that way. So I just make that distinction every time. But if you are one of those people and you've got a single egg and they're going to hatch and you're going to raise that up, you can put all of your energy into a single chameleon, a single baby. So I'm just letting you know, There's advantages to going to a small cage, but one of the disadvantages is, or the advantages of going to the large cage is you can do one setup and your chameleon will grow to adulthood in their home. You just do it right. If you got the adult heat lamp, the adult UVB, yeah, you could fry your little guy. You got to be smart about this. You got to make sure that you kind of, especially the top of the cage, just make sure that that's not an energy death death area. So there's where education comes in, but every aspect of chameleon care is dependent upon education. And that's, I know on social media, we like to think that every answer is the easy one, or that the right answer has got to be easy. If you go around and you ask a question and the answer is like more than 2 sentences, it doesn't mean that that person doesn't know what they're talking about. It means they probably know more about what they're talking about and are trying to figure out how to make it simple. So chameleons, all reptiles, they should be considered deserving of research and requiring of research. They, just because they're sold, and we're not going to solve this here, but just because they're sold at Petco doesn't mean that you can throw them in a 10-gallon aquarium and it'll work. Every single reptile, even the ones we consider, I mean, everybody says, chameleons are sensitive. Okay, so we'll do research. No, even the simple ones, leopard geckos, bearded dragons, they have complex ecosystems and lives just like chameleons. Just because they're a little bit hardier and accept a little bit more abuse doesn't, I don't think that means we should accept giving them less research and being less prepared for them. So, and I know I am preaching to the choir here. The real place we need to change is the point of sale. And that's a difficult place for us to go, often because people end up doing impulse purchases, and an impulse purchase by definition means they didn't plan for it. And the pet store, if there's one thing that I could say we need to change, it's the pet stores should not allow impulse purchasing. If I was, I am very big on not falling into the trap of pushing responsibility on other people. I like to see what can I do to make the situation better. But I will say there's one core thing that these pet stores can do, and that's not accept impulse purchases. I know that goes against our capitalistic nature and all that kind of stuff, but I'd love to find a world where we could make that happen. All right, I better get through all the chats here. Bill, you just said that. Tony, and by the way, I have Tony said that like 13 minutes ago, so I have no idea what the context of that, but yeah, Bill says a lot of things often. Just said things over and over and over again. That's what I do. How old does a panther need to be to eat a lizard? The panther just needs to be bigger than the lizard. So you get a baby lizard, a juvenile panther could eat that. Now, although they will go after vertebrates, we haven't yet shown that is healthy, because with a vertebrate comes a whole lot of protein as well, and we're not sure what the effect on our chameleon is. Now, in the wild, they eat anything that moves, so it's natural. But we really don't know the effects. Steve Heffner says Chris Anderson and his students do awesome. Yeah, Chris Anderson is doing incredible stuff. So Lee says we have had brand new bulbs read 0 and 4-year-old bulbs read new. Yep. Yeah. You get an education when you get a UVB meter and you start putting out up against your lights. You realize how variable things right out of the box can be. Mikey Ben says, Bill, I think for the 6-hour marathon, you need to read us the book for bedtime as we tuck away for Santa. Oh, yes. What Mikey is talking about is every year I have an end of season live session that goes for 6 hours. And we just sit, we have a grand old time of bring people on. We have, and that's in December. And this is going to be a big one because this December is actually the 10th anniversary of the Chameleon Academy. And so we're going to have a big celebration for our end of year. Yeah. Annabelle says, I'm with Mikey. Bedtime story is definitely needed. Annabelle, have you heard about my idea for a sleep aid? I want to do like a 2-hour podcast on the life cycle of coccidia, specifically to help people go to sleep. I would love to do that. Hey, Kazakusa! Yeah, it's always a good day when Kazakusa joins us from Japan. Oh. All right. All right, everybody, we are coming to the end. Kazakusa, you got us just at the end. It's good for you to come on by. So everybody say hello to Kazakusa. So we are past the 6 o'clock hour. What is that? 9 o'clock? Oh, 9 o'clock. It's 9 o'clock on the East Coast. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. You guys hang with me. So the next show we are going to be doing is Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific, both Instagram and YouTube. And that'll be the open question and answer session. I guess it's not too different than what we did today because I got 0 chores done. This was supposed to be chore night. I got 0 chores done because I just didn't feel like doing chores. Oh, Marsha Ann's got it. Marsha Ann's got it. Time for ice cream. And Flick is from Ireland. 2 a.m. here. Woo! Flick, it is so incredible that you joined us. Why do you join us? I mean, I love being worth being up for the 1 a.m. to 2 a.m. hour. That is such an honor for me. But why do you do it? Why do you do it? I'm just wondering what's up with that. Oh, I love it. No, we got to wait until Flick answers. I got to know. I got to ask why. Why is me cutting up vegetables worth it for 1 a.m. to 2 a.m.? Do you do the night shift or something? Because I love you all. Oh my goodness. We are just going to go with that. We are going to go with that. No more necessary. No more details necessary. Put a period at the end of that. End chapter. All right, everybody. We are going to sign off on that. Join me Tuesday, 5 p.m. Pacific, and have a great rest of the Sunday. And let's start Monday refreshed. I'm going to get some sleep and see if I can do that. See you later, everybody.